the adolescents, vana vechidiki, yezvinezvi, ndovakutoita kuti HIV yacho itospreada stereki. And then when I was coming here, I was just looking at that article for another column and ndichinyora. Chibva ndakufunga kuti these are young people, vanofanira kunge vari kuchikoro. What more if this is a young person that's also living with disability? Tikuziva isusu society yedu yatakurarama nayo isiri society yandakakura inini. Inini pandakakura kwaifiridzwa ndakazvarirwa ka. Ndairayirwa nemunhu wese. Next door pairayirwa waitodzwa kunzi chenda mumba iwewe zvawakapfeka nhasi hazvina hunhu. Society used to care about the next child, the other child, and everybody else. In fact, we all would parent a child. The village would raise a child. Today we see fathers raping their own children. I don't know what has happened to society. I don't know what has happened to our morals and our Ubuntu. What more if this is a little girl that's actually living with disability? Extra vulnerable, by obviously being a child, but extra vulnerable. Maybe she can't run as fast. Maybe she can't even see. But takugara musociety yandikutaura iwe iri kuita sekuti vanhu takumukirana hakuchisina ani basa neumwe munhu. So I was just thinking about it a little bit deeper. So as NAC, we have committed alongside the rest of the world to ending AIDS by 2030, and then we still have these difficult situations that are coming up. This is a very ambitious target, which requires that we embrace all sectors and empower them to respond effectively to HIV. As such, at NAC, we have been strengthening our partnerships with various sectors. This includes capacitating them to ensure that the objectives of the National Strategic Plan are fully addressed. I am therefore pleased today that we are handing over these materials to NASCO to address those particular vulnerabilities that I'm talking about, that are faced by people living with disability. We are all aware that people living with disability are especially vulnerable to HIV. They also face discrimination from the people around them, which is us, which makes them even more vulnerable. So addressing HIV prevention and treatment among those living with disability is a matter of human rights that all implementers should address. In that regard, we must ensure that those living with disability have access to appropriate tools and services for HIV prevention is enshrined in the combination HIV prevention strategy. While HIV prevention methods may be available for the general population, there have been limited efforts to package these for use by people living with disabilities. Today's effort, therefore, it might be small, but it's intended to bridge that gap and ensure that people living with disability are able to access and utilize information about HIV. The materials we're handing over today have been developed in consultation with NASCO. Therefore, I have no doubt that they are appropriate to the needs and requirements of the beneficiaries. We are handing over charts, booklets, pamphlets, braille books, and audio CDs whose exact quantities are on the sheets before you. But then again, is it everybody who's going to see? These materials, ladies and gentlemen, are only part of the needs of the beneficiaries. We also must address the provision of actual appropriate tools for HIV prevention, such as properly labeled condoms. Reduction of new HIV infections is critical if we are to end AIDS by 2030. And we can't achieve this without paying attention to the prevention needs of those living with disability. Let me at this moment register my gratitude to the Global Fund Against AIDS, TB and Malaria for supporting the production of these materials. NAC is a sub-recipient in this grant, while NASCO is the sub-recipient. This partnership has already seen over 800 peer counselors trained across the country to deal with the specific needs of people living with disability. The training shall continue until 2017, and there's also a proposal for additional materials to be printed in 2017. Ladies and gentlemen, may I promise NASCO that before the end of this year, NAC will donate some more HIV and AIDS materials for people living with disability. Through the AIDS levy, we are also currently printing the Zimbabwe National Strategic Plan in Braille and other strategic documents on CDs for the visually impaired. It is now my singular honor and pleasure. I'll ask you, Honorable Mziwa, to come through, that I may hand over these materials to you for onward presentation to NASCO.